Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me for today's oil painting video. Today is going to be a tutorial and I'll be sharing how I created this oil painting using only two colors plus black and white. The colors I'll be using today are cadmium red medium, sap green, titanium white, and chromatic black. Now, a huge disclaimer I want to mention before I begin is that by no means am I implying that my specific method is the best way or the correct way to do things. I know that there are a lot of different artists out there with different tutorials, different techniques, and I always want to encourage you all to experiment with different methods and find a process that works best for you. But in my personal experience painting portraits, I've noticed that when I mix skin tones, I always gravitate towards red and green. And partially it's because red and green are made up of the three primary colors. Red, of course, is a primary color on its own, and green is made up of yellow and blue. So together, usually when you mix the three primary colors in oil paints, they kind of muddy together and create just this brown, muddy shade. And I realized that if I can learn and study the behaviors of how the red and greens interact, and I can control the different hues of muddiness or different values of this muddiness, I can create a huge diverse family of skin tones. Some colors being more pink and rosy, some colors being cooler and more green heavy. You can create rich dark browns, you can create light, very earthy beiges. Like there's just so much you can do with just red and green, specifically cadmium red medium and sap green. These two paints are from Gamblin, and they to me are kind of the quintessential red and green. They're what I think of when someone says red or someone says green. So I wanted to just really share this process with you all because it's something that in my personal experience, I've gotten really familiar with and really enjoy mixing skin tones with. Red and green to me yields way better results than starting with various shades of brown or sienna or even those pre-mixed flesh tone colors that you might see from some oil painting brands. For me, red and green gives me the most control over how I want the outcome to look, and also yields the greatest variety of results so that I can create realistic, diverse skin tones. By the way, if you want to see a more in-depth look at this tutorial, I have a 60-minute version along with a color mixing demo uploaded to my Patreon, along with hundreds of hours of exclusive content, all available at patreon.com/happydartist. Okay, moving on to the painting demo. A quick note, I actually have not finished the entire painting yet. The hair and the background are still a work in progress, but I did finish the portions that contain skin tones, such as the face, the body, the hands, and this is the part I'm going to be focusing on for this tutorial. But I will be uploading a full time lapse of this painting when it's completed, so be on the lookout for that. So in terms of how the colors translate from the palette to the painting, one important thing to keep in mind is that your palette should not be expected to match your painting exactly. No matter how hard you prepare or how much time you devote to pre-mixing colors, there's no way you can anticipate every single shade of every single color that you might need for your painting. Therefore, I always like to start off with a set of 6 to 7 kind of essential colors where I'll use those as starting points to mix as I go. I noticed that with this painting, I had to mix a lot of titanium white with some of the pre-mixed skin tones. One, to of course lighten them, and two, it helps kind of desaturate the colors a bit. Whenever you mix pure white or pure black with a pre-mixed color, it will lighten or darken it and also desaturate it. Another thing I really tried to avoid with this piece was having it come out looking too monochromatic or boring, because every single color mixed for this painting stems from red and green. It was really easy for me to just accidentally make kind of the same shade of brown but lighter and darker versions of the same shade of brown. But it's really important for you to introduce variety into your skin tones. So you want to play up the areas that are a lot rosier and more heavy on the red, such as the nose or the cheeks where the cheeks blush, the lips, the fingertips. And then there are other parts of the face that are maybe a bit cooler. So for me, I like to actually mix a light gray with the highlights. So it's like a lot of titanium white with a very small amount of chromatic black. The gray gives the highlight portion of the face a nice kind of dull coolness that complements and offsets the varying shades of warm beige or warm rosy skin tones. By introducing this type of variety, like both warm and cool shades, the subject comes out looking so much more interesting and more realistic, even if you have fantasy or exaggerated cartoony proportions like I do for a lot of my portraits. Giving the illusion of realism whenever you can really helps the viewer connect with your painting and become fully immersed in it. I also used pure chromatic black for a lot of the darker focal points, such as the eyelashes or the pupils. And for the eye color, I pretty much used pure sap green so that the eyes can have a brilliant shade of green that's not visible anywhere else on the face. By introducing these various elements where you see a lot of difference and contrast and variety, it really helps breathe the subject to life. And that about wraps up today's tutorial. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope it was useful, and I hope this encourages anyone out there who is scared to try oils that you can actually do a lot with very few supplies. So hopefully it's not as intimidating as when you have to choose from infinite amounts of color choices. Just red and green and black and white can yield a lot of very realistic and diverse skin tones. And of course, since it's the end of the video, it's time for my self-promotion. I'm so sorry, but I wanted to let you all know I'm still having my 15% off sale. So if you want 15% off of everything, including originals, just use the code AUTUMN at happyd-artist.com. And if you're interested in learning more about how to paint and draw, I have lots of art educational content on my Patreon page, including exclusive video tutorials, step-by-step photo tutorials, live streams, podcasts, and even surprise art gift boxes. All available at patreon.com/happydartist. I'd love to have you join my Patreon family. I wanted to quickly thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video and for supporting my channel and the art community. I've actually enjoyed using Squarespace for 4 years now to build and host my online shop and website. So whether you need a domain, website, or online store, make your next move with Squarespace. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and visit squarespace.com/happydartist for 10% off your first purchase. Also, if you want to check out more artworks, works in progress, and just random daily artist adventures, feel free to check out my Instagram, and you can follow me at the handle @happydartist.